Alright, do you want to play as a Twilight Domain Cleric? Then let me show you the perfect build guide using the mod for the Twilight Cleric. We're going to go level by level, including the combat tutorial, so let's jump in. And of course, we have to start with the Cleric. Now for your cantrips here, we are going to take Sacred Flame, because I think it's a really good damage dealing base cantrip you can start the game with. We're going to take Guidance, because honestly, probably one of the best spells from the start of the game to the end of the game. And then we are also going to take Light, another really good utility spell that I find really helpful in a lot of places. Now when it comes to your domain, as I said, we are going with the Twilight domain. This gives us Eyes of the Night, so you can see in dark up to 60 meters. Get martial weapon proficiency, heavy armor proficiency. Bestow Eyes of Night, so nearby allies gain the ability to see in the dark up to 60 meters. We get Vigilant Blessing. The target gains a +3 bonus to initiative. This is very helpful, especially in this game, and especially so early. Fairy Fire, Sleep, and as we move through, at this point, pick whichever deity you want, whether you're going with like roleplay wise. Okay, when it comes to your spread of ability points, we're going to have 12 Strength, 14 Dex, you could interchange these depending on the weapon you want to use, 14 Constitution for our concentration spells, 10 Intelligence, 16 Wisdom, as this is our spell casting and modifier, and then 10 Charisma. For your proficiencies, take whatever you feel like will help you thematically. Okay, Cleric level 2 gives us our Turn Undead and our Twilight Sanctuary. This is one of your channel divinities, and Conjure an Aura of Soothing Twilight. Allies who end their turn in the Twilight are no longer charmed or frightened. If they are not charmed or frightened, they gain 6 temporary hit points instead. Another really good early game ability you can use. Now for your spells here, we're going to mix up a little bit. We're going to have a range of different stuff. So we're going to start with Inflict Wounds, probably one of my favourite level 1 spells. You can upcast this and the damage is insane. We're going to take Guiding Bolt, because what cleric is complete without Guiding Bolt? We're going to take Healing Word, so we've got a ranged bonus action based healing spell. We're going to take Cure Wounds, so we've got a melee action based one, so you can actually pair these together very nicely if you need to. And then for our final spell, we are going to take Shield of Faith. Protect a creature from attacks, increases armor class by 2. Again, a really nice way if you are at the back and you've got Lae'zel with you early game. Throw this on her, really boost her AC and let her aggro and just stay at the forefront. Okay, Cleric level 3 brings us up and we get a bunch of new options to choose from. We also unlock spells such as Moonbeam and See Invisibility for ourselves. Now when it comes to your next spell, our main option here is going to be Spiritual Weapon. Really nice bonus action spell. It's just an extra summon on the field essentially. The damage isn't amazing, but if you can do, I don't know, the maximum 11 damage, that's pretty decent for just a bonus action that will stay with you for a few turns. Cleric level 4, and this gives us our first feat. Now for a spell here, for our cantrip, we're going to take Produce Flame. And for our ability score improvement is what we're going to start with, and we're going to bump our Wisdom up to 18 to really boost our spellcasting. Now we get one more spell for this one of my favourite spells in the game, Hold Person. This is incredible because if you can land this on the whole army of people, because you can upcast this to target more, this is an automatic fight winner in my opinion, because any enemies that are held cannot move, act or react, and any melee based attacks on them are always critical hits. So if you compare this with a rogue with their sneak attack, or a fighter with their 1,000 attacks per turn, you can really dwindle down the fights super quick. Okay, Cleric level 5 brings us with a bunch more abilities, such as a Warden of Vitality. We have things like Blink, so lots of good options. However, we do get to choose some more spells, and at level 3, I think the first two to pick, Spirit Guardians to begin with. This is an incredible spell. You can do either Radiant or Necrotic damage, already makes it amazing. Movement speed is halved, and if you can run into people, you can damage them as long as they don't make their save. It's really good, and if you have this on you and enemies run at you, it's like a nice little barrier that will damage them as they get into the pocket. The other spell we're going to go with is Mass Healing Word. Again, another bonus action healing spell, and it just boosts up your healing capabilities. Okay, Cleric level 6 gives us our next channel Divinity Charge, and Steps of the Night. Gain the ability to fly if you're obscured. We get one more spell at this point, and from here we're going to take Glyph of Warding. I love this spell. Now essentially you throw a glyph on the ground and when an enemy steps into it, it will trigger. However, you can use this like a bomb, and if you place it on top of a bunch of enemies, say you choose the fire one, place on top of a bunch of enemies, at the end of your turn, it will trigger because enemies are within it, and it will act as an explosion and damage them all. Incredible. Okay, Cleric level 7, this brings us up to 52 hit points, and we have a bunch more spells we can do with things like Opulence, Resilience Sphere, that is always available, Greater Invisibility. However, we do have more options for spells, and what we're going to take here is Guardian of Faith. Again, a really nice way of having another sort of summon creature on the battlefield. It will deal a bunch of damage, and essentially it's a really nice way of making some choke points in certain areas. The only issue is, that for the amount of damage it deals, it will also take that amount of damage. So if it deals 40 damage in one turn, it's going to take 40 damage. So it will die pretty quick. Enemies will also target it very quickly, so it can kind of die out within one turn sometimes, but regardless, it's a pretty good option. Okay, Cleric level 8 gives us our next feat, as well as Divine Strike Radiant. So strike a foe with your weapon as it becomes wreathed in gleaming radiance. Now for our ability score improvement, you probably guessed it, but we're going to bump our Wisdom up to 20. And we get one more spell, and for this one we are going to come all the way back down here. And we are going to take Aid. So heal your allies and increase their hit point maximum by 5 points, last until long rest. So not only is this a good way of increasing maximum hit points, but if you need a quick heal for everyone, say you take a little bit of damage within the first bit of combat after long resting, be a nice way of topping yourself up and then giving yourself a little bit extra. Okay, Cleric level 9, we now unlock level 5 spell slots. We have things like Hold Monster always prepared, Destructive Wave, and this is incredible. Create a shockwave of either Divine or Malevolent Thunder that damages nearby creatures and possibly knocks them prone. Does thunder and radiant damage. An incredible spell. Now, we have a bunch more options we can choose here, and the ones we are going to go with is Insect Plague, because I think Insect Plague is just amazing. Makes terrain difficult, imposes disadvantage on perception checks, all sorts of fun stuff like that. Lasts for 10 turns, pretty decent damage. We're also going to take Mass Cure Wounds, because if you can land this pretty early, it can really change your fight. If your fighter has taken too much damage and you need to top them up, it's the best way to do it. Cleric level 10 brings us our Divine Intervention. Now please bear in mind, this is a one and done per playthrough. Once you use it, you cannot go back, so you have to really choose your moment for this. I would personally recommend one of like the big fights that you need to use it. But yeah, really choose your moments, because once you use it, it is done. For a spell here, we're going to take Light, infuse an object with an aura of light. And for our next spell, at this point, we're going to take Flame Strike. 10 to 60 damage, again, fire and radiant, really tapping into the radiant, and remember the 5, because that is going to tie in with our equipment. Cleric level 11 brings us to our level 6 spell slots, so we have a bunch of good options. Please bear in mind though, when it comes to this game, even if you reach level 12, you only get one level 6 spell slot. So even though you can choose a spell from the level 6 playlist here and at level 12, you'll only be able to cast one of them because you won't have enough spell slots unless you use an item like Marker Share or the Spellcrux Amulet. So what we're going to do is we're going to take Planar Ally, going to really theme in on that whole summons aspect we're taking with the Twilight Domain. If you want to take Hero's Feast, you could. It is really, really good. You could even also take Harm, because I think that's really good too. But I do think Planar Ally is just a little bit better. So we're going to take that. And then at level 12, our final level, firstly we get our next feat. So for this one, we're going to bolster our concentration. And to do that, we're going to take Warcaster. So you gain advantage on saving throws to maintain concentration on a spell. You can also use a reaction to cast Shocking Grasp at a target moving out of melee range. So that's going to be our option. This will help us maintain our concentration. And then for our spell, I would recommend taking anything from level 4 below, because you're not going to have the spell slots, in my opinion, to do the level 5s and the level 6s. I would personally take Banishment because it can have some good utility late in the game. Obviously, it's kind of hard to land it, and there might be other better options, but I do think it's the best of the bunch here. Okay, when it comes to equipment, we are going to go with this, the Hat of Fire Acoustic. So when you deal fire damage, you gain Arcane Agility for 2 turns. Arcane Agility, +1 bonus to its spell attack rolls and spell difficulty class for each remaining turn. Reduce the duration by 2 each time the entity takes damage. We're going to take the Cindermoth Cloak, so a creature that damages the wearer within 2 meters receives burning. The Space Hunt Boots for Dimension Door, again, really nice way of getting around the battlefield. The UNT Scale Mail, you could also use the Armor of Agility if you want to really boost your armor class. I can't find it for some reason. But essentially they both give you exotic materials, meaning you add your dexterity to your AC. What I really like about this one though is you get Ambusher, so +1 to your armor, +1 to your initiative. For gloves, the Legacy of Masters, so armor and enchantment, getting a +2 bonus to attack and damage rolls with this weapon, and a strength saving throw +1. The Crusher's Ring gives us a +3 to our movement speed. The Caustic Band, so we do an extra 2 acid damage with our weapons. The Amulet of Misty Step, again to help us get around the battlefield. I've gone with Kerwin's Cauterizer, ties everything together nicely. We deal fire damage, it's a dex-based weapon, and on a hit, if they don't succeed a saving throw for Constitution, they will start burning. And then for a shield, I've gone with the Absolute Protector. Now there are other shields that give you +3, +4 if you want to use those. I would not say don't. What I like about this one is that all damage received from spells are reduced by 1, and we get Fire Shield Chill. But again, if you wanted to use something more bolstery like Viconia's Walking Fortress or anything like that, you 100% could. Okay, so that is this build guide, so let's go find some combat and we'll show it off. Okay, so before we start any sort of combat or anything like that, as soon as you leave camp, the first thing we are going to do is we're going to cast our planar ally. So, do this one, and there's lots of options. I personally like the Deva, because you have things like Wrathful Smite and Revivify, Concussive Smash, but there's a Cambion, you've got a Dingini, lots of really good options, but we're going to take the Deva. And there you go, and now this will just follow us around. Okay, we are in combat, so let's do this. As you can see, our Deva is actually well up the turn order, and sadly our Twilight Cleric is a little below. So, showing off our lovely Deva. Again, it can be a good damage dealer, so let's just do a basic attack. And there you go, 30 damage is incredible. Now, as a bonus action or as a normal action, you can fly. We don't really need to, but we do have the capabilities of getting around the battlefield. So for example, if you wanted to aggro the enemies here, we can do that. Okay, and now it's our turn. So we're going to do just a very basic attack to start with. But as soon as we start combat, again, we're going to get that spiritual weapon. So let's get a Great Axe going. We'll throw it up here. And now essentially we've got 2 summons. We've got our Deva, and we have our spiritual weapon. And we can just come in here with a very basic attack. And there you go. So you see we did 15 damage, 2 turns of burning, and we can throw the Divine Strike on it. Just like that. And you see they just took some burning damage there. Now when it comes to your spiritual weapon, again, it's not going to be the biggest of damage, but never mind, it did a crit. So it is going to be big damage that time. But you can sort of see the gist of what I'm saying here. Okay, back to the Deva, because again, we've got other options. So let's do a Wrathful Smite this time. Or not, we'll miss. We'll try that again next time. And look at that, big damage with the opportunity attack. Okay, but what is a cleric without their spells? And that is exactly what we're going to do. So as you can see on the turn bar, we've taken a lot of damage because I'm only controlling the Deva and our cleric. So we're going to start with a healing word. Again, it's a bonus action. We're going to do it at 3rd level because we have the capabilities to, and let's get it on Jaheira. And we'll buffer up a little bit. Now because of that, we still have our main action. We can do some spells. So let's do a Hold Person. We'll do it at 3rd level, see if we can target everyone. So we'll target them, we can just about target them, and we'll target the Spellcaster. And as you can see, all 3 are now held. If we wanted to upcast it again, we could have targeted that one, but I didn't realise they were there. And then what we'll do is, we'll just run around here to try and protect ourselves. And as I was saying, thanks to this, we now have guaranteed critical hits on these enemies. And, for example, if we were to use Shadowheart here, not only do we get crit with the weapon, we can then do our Divine Strike on top, and even that damage is critical. And it will work with things such as your spiritual weapon. So, if I were to go here, again another big crit with that. And as I said before, it also works with your sneak attack. So, if we compare this very nicely, if you look at the bottom left where we see Rage, Wild Heart's Prey, Dual Wield on, if we land our sneak attack, big damage, and you'll see we gain 10 temporary hit points. Reason being is we have the weapon that will give you 10 temporary hit points and an extra 10 necrotic damage on a critical hit. So if you can really pair your spells with your other characters' builds, you're going to be really dealing some huge damage when you need to. Again, we're back to the Deva, so let's just fly up here. And we'll see if we can do a Wrathful Smite this time. And there you go. Now, unfortunately, I did save that they don't become dazed or anything, but you can see the damage we're pumping out here. Now again, we've got a bunch of other spells we can show off, and I want to show off Glyph of Warding as I was talking about previously. So if I was to come in here and we'll do Glyph of Warding Fire, you remember I said usually you place it, an enemy will walk into it and then it will trigger. Well, if I was to place it here, at the end of our turn, you see it explodes because there's an enemy within it. So if you can do this on a big group of people, it's an absolute game changer. And again, really easy, we just let the Deva do its stuff, with a big kill there. And then, because of the movability, if we had it, we could just fly down here and do a bunch more damage. Okay, now you can see we're in the pocket, and if we really want to, as I said before, inflict wounds. This is a huge damage dealer. We're going to do it at level 5. It is a level 1 spell, don't forget. But, there you go, huge 36 damage. And what that means is if we were close to all our allies, we could once again come in here with another mass healing word. And bolster everyone up. And it really is that easy. Deva, again, can just pull all the aggro and just keep swinging for the fences against enemies. And we have the capability of doing things such as ending the fight with a lovely... You know, we'll show off the Garden of Faith. So let's pop that here. It might not be within range, it is just about within range, awesome. And we'll just come up here a little bit. I want to see if we can show off this ability, because I think it's incredible. And there you go, you see they tried to strike, and they get to do that in return. And every attack they try, the Garden of Faith will do some damage to it. You see it did 20 damage total, so it took 20 damage, just remember that. And then that leaves us with things we can still do, such as a little Guiding Bolt, if we want to upcast it to level 4. Let's see if we can hit.
May the gods take you first.
Just like that. And it really is that easy. Davey gets to take the win. And that is the gist of the build. It's a really nice build, it works so well in Dark Vision, so early game it's incredible. Later game it obviously loses its charm a little bit, and there's probably other domains that are better to use. But overall, it's a fun mod. You can really pair the items nicely, you can pair your team synergy nicely too. So I really hope you have enjoyed. If you have, please drop the video a like, it helps me amazingly. And let me know in the comments what other skills, other items, all that fun stuff you would use. If you're not already, please subscribe to the channel for more. I've got more build guides for this game, Dragon Age to Veilguard, Path of Exile 2. If you want to and haven't already, please consider becoming a member to the channel today. It helps me tremendously and it costs less than a cup of coffee a month. Regardless, I really do hope you have enjoyed this video, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.